Today, we're going to be talking about how to create passive income. Okay. Passive income is one of the most equitable types of income. I think that at this point in life, we've always been talking about earned income, okay, and trading our time for dollars, and that's what the school taught us. That's what the higher education institutions have taught us. That's what society has taught us. And to be quite honest with you, that time has come and gone. It's becoming extinct. Okay, so you can get with the program, or you can wait a couple more years and you can figure it out later when everybody else figure it out. But I'm always a thought leader, and so I just want to let you guys know that earned income is becoming a thing of the past. The way that inflation works, there just won't be enough money that you can make in an hour's time, the average person, in an hour's time, in order to still suffice your lifestyle. I mean, for example, how many people that have parents, if it wasn't your parent, that worked 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, right? All right. And it still wasn't enough. They still probably didn't have a car, or if they had a car, it was raggedy. If they had a nice car, then they suffered in another area. Maybe their house wasn't too great. And so that's just a prime example. And that's been happening for about 20 years now. So now we are at the end. The opinionated part is that I think that probably in the next 10 years, earned income will be will be a thing of the past. I think that more people are focusing on passive income. Probably not right now. It's probably the one percenters. But I think that the population in large, just my opinion, in about 10 years will start to be more focused on passive income because it just makes more sense. If you can make money in your sleep, you can make money while you're doing something else. You can make money while you're on vacation. That is the more ideal life. And that is why we're seeing AI technology rise. I mean, we're seeing all kind of tools that can duplicate humans' jobs and that sort of thing. So if you pay attention, you already understand where I'm going with this, right? Passive income is in all shapes and forms all over the world. I don't care where you live at, all right? What country you live in, what state you live in. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to teach you the my top 5 real estate investment strategies. Okay. I talk about this. I have a couple of books out that talk about this and some courses. Okay. We'll put them on the screen, but I'm going to give you 5 here that I've done myself, and it creates a lot of passive income. Now, before we get started, let's talk about the definition of passive income. The definition of passive income is a stream of money. Okay. It's a cash flow. Okay. A stream of money that requires little to no effort. All right. And so when we start talking about real estate, we're talking about just that. I'm not saying that you can just hang real estate on the shelf and you're not going to do anything. But what I am saying is that it sure does require less maintenance than a job. Okay. It requires less maintenance than a 9 to 5. A 9 to 5, the last time I checked, required 5 or 6 days a week from 9 to 5. Whereas a house, right, may only require your attention once every other month. Okay. And so that, my friend, is the definition of passive income, because it's a steady cash flow or a steady stream of money coming in on a monthly basis for little to no effort. All right. So we're going to get into my first strategy. Okay. And this is in no particular order, guys. So the first is the B.R.R.R. method. Okay. B.R.R.R. Okay. That stands for buy, rehab, rent, and repeat. I love this method because it produces a lot of passive income. Okay. And so let's get right into what I mean when I say B.R.R.R. Okay. So the first one is buy. So of course you got to buy a property, and what you want to buy is you want to buy a property that's already below value. Okay. You don't want to pay $200,000 for a $200,000 property. Okay. You want to move in, you want to acquire that property with ideally 10 to 20% equity. Okay. So that means you want to get that property for 10 to 20% lower. That way, if you had to sell the property before you can collect rent, then you'll break even or you'll make a profit, right? And I say break even sometimes because if let's just say that you get a 10% break in the price, so you move in with 10% equity. Well, when you get ready to sell the property, somebody's going to talk you down a few $1,000s, and then you're also going to have to pay the transaction fees that it takes to sell a property. So you got to pay the realtors, you got to pay title policy and things of that nature. But after you get past that 10% equity mark and you start to buy a property for 20%, then you can make a profit. Okay, and that's a worst case scenario because again, the B.R.R.R. method is you're going to rent. Okay, so you really want to buy as if you're not able to rent, and so now you have double the benefits. Okay, so the next thing is you got to rehab the property. Nobody's going to sell you a $200,000 house less than $200,000 unless it need repair. So that's apparent that you're going to have to rehab the property. Okay, once you rehab the property, then the ultimate goal is to do what? Is to rent the property out, and therefore you make residual income. So here it is. You're gonna pay less than $200,000 for the property, so you have immediate equity should you have to sell it on a whim. Then you're also going to have rental income. So let's say that you pay $1,500 back to your mortgage company every month for this house. Then you want to charge more than $1,500. So you want to charge the market rent. So you want to charge about $1,800 to $2,000 on that property, depending on what others are renting their properties out for. So now you have a positive cash flow of $300 to $500 given this scenario, and you've got 20% equity in the property. And all you want to do is repeat this. Okay, you want to repeat this until you have the number in your head that will suffice for maybe your whole income, or maybe half of what your annual income, or maybe you want to make residual income to fund some investments and some stocks, or put your kids through college. Whatever number of houses or whatever amount of money you're trying to make a month, just keep on repeating this until you reach that number. Maybe it's $10,000. So if you're gonna make $500 house, then that may be 20 houses you have to get, or 20 doors. And you can switch this up. You don't have to get 20 individual houses, okay? Behind every door is a family, and every door pays you rent, okay? And so if, let's say you got a duplex, that's one structure, but it's two doors. So then you pile that on top of one house, and then now you've got three doors. Same thing for a fourplex. If you get a fourplex, it's one structure, but it's four doors. So you don't have to get 20 individual properties in this example. You can get 20 different doors. But that's what you want to do for the B.R.R.R. method, okay? Coming in at number 2 is going to be short-term rentals, okay? A lot of people call these Airbnbs. I have short-term rentals, and my short-term rentals are corporate furnished units, okay? So I mainly rent my properties out to corporations that are relocating, or corporations that have interns coming down for an extended amount of time. I also rent my property out to people that are undergoing medical treatment. Here in Houston, Texas, we have one of the largest and the best cancer treatment facilities here. And so I get a lot of people that come in and they're undergoing treatment, unfortunately, and they need a home away from home. It gets real expensive for someone who's trying to rent a room every night. Let's say that you're going through chemotherapy, you need to be down here 67 nights. And now you've got to pay for parking every night. You've got to pay for your room at your hotel. You've also have to eat out every day for every little thing that you eat, because there's no kitchen, right? So I also provide housing for these type of people as well, for medical attention people, right? And it's a short-term rental. So people can come in for one weekend, or they can come in for 3 months or 6 months. So typically on your short-term rentals, you're going to make 2 to 3 times as much as you would make on a regular rental property, okay? So given the B.R.R.R. method, you'll probably make $300 to $500 more than what your mortgage payment is. But watch this. If you had a property that was a short-term rental, and that's a whole nother thing as it relates to what qualifies it. It has to be in an area where there's maybe an amusement park or something like that, downtown in the nucleus of a city, in high-rent districts, somewhere where corporations will want their executives to be able to be housed at and not have to have a car. Okay, so and we talk about that. I have a course, and I also mentor, so we get into the nitty-gritty of that a little bit later. But in a general sense, you definitely want to get a property that is surrounded by as many amenities in walking distance if you can. Okay, now you can also turn your property into Airbnbs. Okay, if you come into a neighborhood that is Airbnb friendly, or a condo community that allows Airbnb. Now, again, you're going to make more money doing this strategy than you would for the B.R.R.R. method. Now, the reason why I'm telling you about these two different strategies and why it made my top 5 list is because some properties are not going to be conducive for short-term rentals while others are. So all properties are not created equal for this particular model. But typically, you're going to be able to rent your property out for about $75 to $100 a day. Okay. And I mean, that's on average. I have properties I list for 125. I rent them out for 150 to $200 a day. And so let's look at the math. Let's say that you came in at $100 a day. $100 a day, your average month is 30 days. So you're bringing in $3,000. Whereas at first, the scenario that I gave you for the first strategy, you're going to be charging about $1,800 to $2,000. Why? Because you're going to actually provide furniture in your short-term rentals. Okay, they're going to be furnished. You're going to have pots, pans, utensils, an iron board, coffee maker. Everything that you have in your current condo, your current house, is what you need to put in this property. And so for that, you can charge a premium. And you want to be competitive with the hotels. If a hotel around the corner is charging $199 plus $49 a day or $29 a day in parking, then you want to be able to go and be competitive with them. So in my area, the average hotel ranges from about $149 to $199 a night. And then you have to put tax and regulatory fees on top of that. And then you also have to pay for parking. In my particular area, parking runs about $40 to $49 a night. Okay. And so at the end of the day, these people are really paying close to $200 a night plus taxes, and they don't have a kitchen or anything like that. Okay. My property is going to have a kitchen. We're going to have your own wash and dryer, which hotels do not. And of course, you're going to have a patio or something like that as well, which most hotels do not at that price. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to be about $50 to $75 less a night, and I'm going to add way more value. And so all my properties are always rented out. And so that's another strategy, okay? And that's the short-term rentals. So we're going to get right back into strategy number 3, which I call grab and holds, okay? Now, grab and hold is a popular investment strategy as well. It's the same thing as a BRRRR, except for the property probably don't need to be fixed up. So a lot of times you can buy a property in a brand new subdivision that's brand new, never been lived in, and you'll have people that can't afford to purchase a property, but they love the school district. They love the amenities that are in the neighborhood. They love everything about the property and the neighborhood itself and the area and the builder and all the amenities in the neighborhood. Out here in Houston and the surrounding areas, we have neighborhoods that have water parks, amphitheaters, fitness centers, lakes and trails and things of that nature. So you can live in the city, which is the rural, urban area, kind of urban and rural at the same time. Don't have, it's not a master plan community, or you can move to a master plan community. But if your credit is bad, or you don't make enough money, or you haven't been in your career long enough, but your kids are starting school this year, and you need about another year to get your things together, then it would be a good idea for you to peruse the neighborhood and find out where the rentals are. And you need to be the investor that is actually investing in the properties to rent out to these homeowners. I mean, to these people that would be homeowners. And so it's like a glorified rent. You don't need to fix the property up. So it's not the B.R.R.R. method, because remember, the B.R.R.R. method, you actually have to rehab the property. This is just a clean slate. You buy a property, you may or may not be able to get a real big discount, but what a value comes in with grab and holds is the fact that you have a brand new house that don't need maintenance, and you have somebody very responsible that actually qualifies to buy a house, except for one or two things. Maybe it's a job situation, or maybe their credit situation. Maybe they're getting out of a divorce and they're really responsible, but they just don't look responsible on paper, okay? And so that's a really good method that I've used personally, okay? Coming in at number 4 is owner financing. Some people call it seller financing, so we can call it both. It doesn't matter. Owner financing, I love this strategy as well, guys. That's why it made the top 5 list, okay? Now, the thing about this strategy is that it's very lucrative, okay? A lot of people, refer to it as a glorified grab and hold, okay? And I like that term. And the reason why it's a glorified grab and hold is because you get to be a landlord without the responsibilities of being a landlord. So check this out. You get a property. We're going to go with the same scenario we've been going with. So a $200,000 property, right? It's worth $200,000, okay? The house is fixed up, okay? So you could have gotten the property from a builder. You could have had a property you fixed up, however you want to do it, but the property doesn't need any work. And so somebody comes in, and instead of them paying you first and last month's rent, what they do is they put 20% down, and you become the bank. Okay, and you can lighten the load. You can have them put down 10%, 15%. I've even seen people put 25% down. But I'm just gonna go with 20% because that's what I personally do. So I'm gonna have you put down 20%. So in this scenario, that's $40,000. Okay. Now they're gonna pay you back every month as if you're the bank. It's gonna take them either 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. It depends on how far out you want them to pay you back. And so at the end of the day, you have somebody who has put some sweat equity in the property because they put down $40,000. Okay. Their credit wasn't on point. Maybe they don't have a social security number. Here in Texas, I know in California as well, we have immigrants that come in and they don't have all their papers together, but they have the money. Okay. And so this is a great strategy for people like that. I've even owned and financed properties to people that were ball players. I had people that come down, they sign a contract, their rookie contract does not allow them to purchase a property. It doesn't make sense, but they're willing, they like the house. They're willing to buy the house later on or over time. And when they get their max contract, which will be many millions, then they're ready to purchase a property. So you'll be surprised. I mean, this works for high-end properties as well as low-end properties. It also works for vacation properties. I get people who have properties and they're looking at their third property and it's near ocean or something. And because it's a vacation home, they really don't want to tie it up on their credit, okay, because it hurts their debt-to-income ratio. Then they'll do owner financing. But anyway, let's go back to the scenario of putting 20% down. You put 20% down, so that leaves you $160,000, okay? So that's basically 40,000 minus 200. So their balance is 160, and they're gonna take 10, 15, 20, 30 years to pay you back, or whatever it is that you decided, however many years you decided. And every month, they're gonna make a payment. And the interest rates are always gonna be higher than normal interest rates because you're taking a risk. They go on the deeds as well. You're on the deed. So now you have John Doe on the deed and the titles as well as you. What that does is that makes the family that is renting from you or owning financing from you, that makes them responsible for the taxes, okay? Now, because they actually co-own the property, within my agreement, I let them know I'm not gonna fix anything. They're buying the property as is, they can have an inspection, and before they move in, I'll bring everything back up to code, or fix everything per the inspection report, just as I would if I were gonna sell it to them, because that's really what it is. It's a delayed sale. And so if anything happens after that, it's on them. They should be getting some type of homeowner's insurance because their name is on the deed. They can get a warranty, a third-party warranty on their air conditioning service, on garbage disposal, all things like that. Just don't call me, right? So here it is. I got 20% down. My last strategy is flipping houses. I love flipping houses. So flipping houses for me, it goes into two different categories, okay? I flip houses and I flip land, okay? When flipping houses, you guys already know, you've seen on HGTV, you buy a house. So the house is worth $200,000. It needs $50,000 worth of work, okay? So already the property is delinquished down to $150. Now you need to figure out where you want to purchase the property at in order to make a profit for when you sell it to an end buyer or, the next homeowner. And so that's flipping houses, okay? Of course, it's going to require you to have a construction team, a designer, a real estate broker, and you also need to have financing, okay? Now, the other piece of that is flipping land. That's when you purchase a piece of land, you get a survey on it to make sure that you know your meets and bounds and your boundaries, okay? You pad the land, okay, with fresh dirt, make sure everything is even, and then you can build a single family home, a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, and that's flipping land. And so I love that strategy because it gives you capital gains. So you gotta, when you're dealing with real estate, you have to be able to work both sides. You want your passive income coming in, and then you also want your substantial amount of capital gains coming in as well. And when you put all these five together, these are the top five because it gives you both sets of income. So as you guys already know, if you want to know more, then you can hit the description. I will put the link in the description below, and you can purchase my course, my books, all my resources, as well as get mentoring and coaching as well. So hopefully you guys learned something, and I'll see you on the next video.